Hi, this is Rick from For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. I had an experience while driving some time ago with one of my cars. I can't remember which one. I was attempting to go onto the highway. I think it was the 400 series. And I noticed that when the car got to about 80, somewhere around 75, 80, the thing felt like it was going to shake apart. And as I continued to speed up, the thing started shaking and shaking and shaking. I ended up having to get off the highway at the next intersection, keeping my four ways on because I didn't have a clue what was going on. 60 wasn't bad. I could kind of maintain 60 okay, but anything beyond that started shaking. Went to a mechanic. I thought that my car was just going to blow up, shake apart, and it was very simple. It was just the alignment. The wheels on the car were for some reason, I have no idea how it happened, they all started pointing in different directions. And because the wheels were the alignment was off, the wheels were pointing in different directions. As I was speeding up, the wheels wanted to take the car in different directions. And so the wheels and the car weren't exactly liking or cooperating with each other at that time. Okay, what about you? Have you ever had car trouble that absolutely freaked you out, but it turned out to be something really, really simple, like an alignment? If you've got a story, please pause the video and share it with whoever it is you're watching with. This video is based on my interpretation of James chapter 1, verses 5 through 8. In this text, we read something about our life's alignment and what happens when we have conflicting alignments. James chapter 1, verses 5 through 8. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. But when you ask him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do. Here's what I'm going to be focusing on in this video: fixing the problem of our conflicting choices. The biggest thing that's really jumping out to me in this text is the idea of alignment. We make some pretty big choices that put our life on a certain heading. And sometimes we get stuck with choices that we've made that have put us on two opposing headings. What do we do when we discover that we have a personal conflict around conflicting life trajectories? Namely, what do we do when we find that one of our big choices conflicts with our choice to follow Jesus? There are two things that are jumping out to me. The text says something about alignment and also something about wisdom to help us find some peace so that our personal conflicting trajectories stop dividing our loyalties so that we're not left with absolutely nothing at all. Let's start here. Check your trajectories. The text says, do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Let's normalize this a little bit, because this is a pretty normal thing. We make so many choices every day. I mean, even before we get out of bed, we've already made a bunch of choices. Sometimes the choices that we make put us on a strict trajectory that requires a lot of loyalty. For example, when I wake up, if I'm feeling hungry, I'm heading to the kitchen. Or if I feel gross because I'm hot and the AC didn't turn on, I'm heading to the shower. There's nothing wrong with strict trajectories. They take dedication to stay on course. And if we're not faithful, we get knocked off. It will never do what we set out to do. So if I'm on the way to get a shower and my stomach grumbles, I may become unfaithful to that initial trajectory that was leading me to the washroom, and now I'm heading to the kitchen. No problem. I just changed my mind over something that's kind of mundane. However, going to get a shower and going to get something to eat are strict trajectories that don't end in the same place at the same time. So I've got to pick one. I can't choose to do both in a single moment. And I can't keep changing my mind. If I keep changing my mind, I won't make it to either of those destinations, and I'm going to remain stinky and hungry. This is partly where the text is taking us. When we choose to follow Jesus, that is a significant choice that comes with a strict trajectory. The choice to follow Jesus means that your lifestyle, my lifestyle, is going to look a certain way. It means that all of our choices are going to be informed by our priority to follow Jesus. It means that we're restricted from doing some things. That's going to knock us off our trajectory to come closer to Jesus. One of the things that we're restricted from doing is making a choice that would conflict with our choice to follow Jesus. A choice that would put us on a trajectory that takes us away from being a Jesus follower. That's not on the table if we are Jesus followers. If we were to make a choice that puts us on a trajectory where there's conflict between our choice to follow Jesus and our choice to follow something else, and we're waffling back and forth, not sure which way to go, that's what this text is about. Some of the choices that we make have strict trajectories that require loyalty. As a matter of fact, all of our choices require a certain amount of loyalty if we want to accomplish anything. Our choice to get breakfast in the morning requires us to be loyal to that plan until we eat something. All of our choices require a certain degree of loyalty. The choice to follow Jesus requires a certain degree of loyalty, as does all the other choices we make. If we've made a choice that has put us on a trajectory that challenges our loyalty to Jesus, that is going to be a problem. First, just coming from a point of wisdom, because that's really what this passage is about, basic wisdom would tell us that conflicting trajectories is a problem because nothing will really ever get accomplished and will in some way suffer by the experience of being swept back and forth between our divided loyalties. Neither side is going to win. We're going to lose. The text tells us a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that's blown and tossed by the wind. So the idea is that waves are chaotic and only around for a moment, basically accomplishing nothing. I mean, I love watching the big waves that develop that let people surf on them. Those are very cool, but those aren't the kind of waves that are the norm, and they're not the kind of waves that are mentioned in this text here. Your choice to follow Jesus is significant, and it comes with a strict trajectory that requires loyalty. Now, thankfully, most of the choices we make throughout our day won't challenge this loyalty. Some of them will. So where does that leave us? It leaves us a place where we're asking for wisdom, which is the second thing that's jumping on the text me. Ask for wisdom. The text says, if you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. The text starts around the theme of wisdom. Divided loyalty is not wise. Competing trajectories are going to leave you empty-handed. All of our choices require a degree of loyalty. If you have two significant choices with opposing trajectories, that's going to be a problem. There's no way to win. But there's some good news here. God is generous with his giving of wisdom. We just have to ask for it. It is not uncommon to see people with divided loyalties. I'll give you an example that I see quite frequently in my practice as a psychotherapist. It's not uncommon for me to see a guy in their late 40s, early 50s having a crisis moment because their values and aspirations have very little to do with what they're doing every single day. Never makes it to their schedule. Some guys get locked into their career and they're driven by the fear of not making it and the need of paying bills and making sure that there's enough there so that the kids have something there to give them some kind of start in the right direction. And eventually they come to realize that it's become kind of meaningless. They're on the wrong trajectory and they want to make a change so that their values and aspirations start to find themselves into their daily schedules and onto their calendars. It's not unusual for us to discover that we have divided loyalties and we have competing trajectories. That's pretty normal. But what are we going to do about it to get this fixed? Start here. Pray for wisdom. If anyone knows how to settle your life down and get you on the right trajectory, it's going to be God. So the answer here is to pray for wisdom. And here's the encouragement. When we confess that there are things going on with us that are actually competing with our choice to follow Jesus, this text tells us that God isn't going to respond to us judgingly. I mean, he gets it, and he knows. The text says he will not rebuke you for asking. We could say something like, God, I've got this thing going on that's becoming a real conflict, and I find that I'm torn between doing what I think I need to be doing as a Jesus follower and then following down this path as well. God's not going to answer you with lightning bolts falling from the sky in your direction. He's not going to rebuke you because he's the one that gave you your autonomy so that you can make your own choices. The text says that he's generous about wisdom. Just ask him. And check your heart also when you're asking him. Check your heart to make sure that your first choice is Jesus. Because if your first choice isn't Jesus, that's going to become a problem for you when you get any wisdom for God, if you do, because without giving Jesus priority, you're going to stay stuck in a place of divided loyalty and not accomplish anything that's important to you. Ask for wisdom to help you clean up your divided loyalties so that you have clarity around staying loyal to Jesus and that you have a strict trajectory that you can actually commit yourself to and stay loyal to. Okay, here's a summary. Although the text starts by talking about wisdom, that's not the direction I jumped to in this video. In this video, I see two things. First of all, I see our choice to follow Jesus puts us on a strict trajectory. And sometimes the other choices that we make conflict with that. So then, if we discover that we have divided loyalties, ask for God's wisdom to get us back on track and moving forward. He's not going to judge you. He's there to help you. Really hope that you've interpreted this text different than me, because I'm looking forward to our discussion this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. and 6 o'clock p.m. Well, that's it from me to you for now. Would you please like? Would you please share? Would you please subscribe? Ask for the link. We meet on Zoom 2 times on Sundays, 10:30 a.m., 6 o'clock p.m. for community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. See you next time.